Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to go over operating systems. So just going to go over the basics of operating systems and give you a brief overview of our operating systems. What do they do, the different components, etc. So operating system is the basic software that allows the computer to move information from one place to another and communicate with peripheral devices in an orderly way. Some of the major components of any operating system are file system, networking, storage, utilities, GUI, CLI, drivers, memory, security, and users. So you can have a a 64-bit or 32-bit operating system. Basically, this is a collection of bits that a processor treats as a unit for purpose of storing and moving data, addressing memory, defining whole numbers, and executing instructions. In general purpose computers typically use a word size of 32 or 64-bit. 64-bit have more lanes for data paths, can address more memory, and can move more bits with a single instruction, whereas 32 bits use fewer resources, may be good for smaller tablets, are rare nowadays in the PC world. You're wondering, where does bitness live? Or does bits live? Applications, drivers, operating system, CPU. So oftentimes what you'll see is 32-bit (64-bit) get the difference. 32 will be written up as x86 and 64 as 64-bit, x64. x64 is basically 64-bit architecture, and x86 is 32-bit architecture. Refers to all PC CPUs which were 16-bit. 32-bit CPUs are rare nowadays in the PC world. Even smartphones today are more likely to be 64-bit. Rules of the road. So 32-bit CPUs can run 32-bit OS, but not 64-bit OS. 64-bit CPU can run 32-bit OS. 64-bit OS requires 64-bit devices, drivers. 32-bit requires 32-bit drivers. 64-bit OS can run 32-bit apps. You can't upgrade or change the bitness of a operating system. 32-bit can only have max out memory of 4 GB, and 64-bit can have 512 GB max memory. So let's talk about the different workstation OSs. You have Windows XP 2001, then you had Windows 7 2009, Windows 8.1 came out in 2013, Windows Vista came out in 2006, Windows 8 came out in 2012, and Windows 10 in 2015. All this began in 1995 and works on a variety. Older operating systems OSs work on a variety of hardware, 32-bit and 64-bit versions. Mac OSs only works on Apple hardware, 64-bit kernel, and Mac server shares the same code as Windows, only some problems. So Linux, you have another form of OS called Linux, which is open source and free. Well, open source does not mean free, but that's a whole nother video. You have to read the licenses and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But open source, it's available to the public, you know what I'm saying? And it's not free, Sometimes it is, but most of the time isn't. Various companies offer services. Linux is inspired by Unix. Hold on, Linux. Different versions exist of Linux with different desktops environments. Linux is the basis for Android OSs and popular for web servers. Okay. So let's talk about the mobile OSs. So your purposes of mobile OS different from the workstation OS. Portability and convenience, touch support, more important, smaller screen size, power consumption of more concern, higher security risk. Windows has a small stake in mobile OSs. Android has a huge market share, and iOS is the second biggest. Browser-based Chrome OS still very small, has a small worldwide market share, but popular in K-12 education. So vendor-specific limitations. So end of sale EOS. When a manufacturer stops selling a product, such as an OS, support can continue long after EOS. This typically means software and hardware vendors will restrict or discontinue development of applications and drivers for that particular OS. End of life EOL. When a manufacturer stops supporting a product such as an OS, typically means no more OS updates, antivirus updates, patches, or new drivers from the manufacturer. So end of life, when a manufacturer stops supporting a product because of the supporting product, so typically won't release any updates, antivirus updates, patches, or new drivers. Mainstream support includes security updates, feature updates, and service packs. Software can abandon an OS platform even if not at end of life. Installation and development methods. So there's different methods you can use. You can use a DVD, CD, or USB stick, network-based LAN or cloud. Installations. Local installations methods are good for locations with poor connectivity, good for one-off installations. Optical disc, CD or DVD. If you don't have a USB stick, less frequently used nowadays. Computers without built-in optical drives can use external ones like a USB stick. A USB can be faster than optical installation method. Network installation methods are LAN-based installations. Applications can install with OS images. Setup files can reside on the file shares. Enterprise tools such as SCCM can be used. Cloud-based installation may require authentication on Microsoft account. Anti-malware software may block the installation with iffy connections. Consider downloading the installer files locally. App installations best practice are check release notes first, evaluate and install in. App installation best practice check release notes first, evaluate and install in previous versions, create fallback position, recent backup, restore points, and scan install files for hardware. Note in progress any in progress errors or warnings, and review log files.